Welcome back to Anewgo of New Home Sales Podcast. I'm your host, Anya Chrisanthon, and today we're introducing something new that we're really excited about. Starting this month, we're launching a recurring segment we're calling our AI Brief Homebuilding Edition, a practical, no hype look at what's happening in AI and what it actually means for the home building industry. Now, let's be honest, AI headlines are everywhere. Every week, there's a new tool, a new model, a new prediction about jobs disappearing, or everything changing overnight. And for builders, it can feel overwhelming or easy to ignore. So, this segment exists for one reason: to cut through the noise and translate AI into real world impact for new home sales, marketing, and the buyer experience. Each month, I'll be joined by Anewgo CEO John Lee, and together we'll break down what's changing, what matters, and what doesn't, and how builders should be thinking about AI not as a trend, but as an infrastructure. This first episode is a little different. We're going to start by zooming out, really looking at how we got here, what AI has become over the last couple of years, and why 2026 is shaping up to be such an important year for our industry. So, with that, welcome my co host, John Lee.
Hey guys, I was just thinking about our name, AI Briefs. It's actually a good and a bad name. It's a good name in that you're giving briefings and it's like breaking news, up to date. But if it's anything but brief, because I think there's an overwhelming amount of data that's coming out all the time. It's coming fast and furious, and it's coming in a very overwhelming, complex, and maybe even disruptive way. And that's why we want to kind of break it down into these little brief segments each month. So let's get started. Start shooting.
Well, so I was going to say, I remember standing on stage at IBS 2022, I guess it was. And at the end of my presentation, I introduced ChatGPT because I had asked ChatGPT to come up with an ending for my presentation. Of course, I was talking about technology and what's coming next. And so this ChatGPT thing made onto my radar. Not many people knew about it. And I remember people were blown away by its capability, what it did back in 2022. It was kind of like a live preview of that. And then thinking back to my IBS presentation last year, my talk was all about the operator, that no longer home builders are going to be searching the Google, that instead they're going to outsource that to this operator that will be doing the searching for them. So I think last year there was a talk of agentic AI. It was kind of the year of agentic. So my question to you, John, is before we jump into recapping and look at what's next, let's tease them. So when you think about 2026 for AI, what do you dub it?
Ooh, wow. You want to go forward and then come back. Okay. Well, going forward, I think 2026 is going to be where AI is going to have a big coming out party. And that's where it's really going to be applicable for consumers. And you're going to see it in a wide range of applications. I mean, you're seeing it everywhere, not just on websites. You're seeing it even in portals. You're seeing your spreadsheets, seeing it across videos and social media. But I think all that is going to show this convergence of AI combining with search engines, combining with e-commerce and social to really become an AI commerce platform.
I like it. AI commerce. Here we come. Commerce, cha-ching, right? Ka-ching.
Yeah, it all gets down to money.
So, why don't we give our listeners a quick overview from your perspective, John, since you seem to be the authority in AI when it comes to home building, at least. We want to hear what you think were some of the biggest milestones, maybe from 2022. I mean, 2022 was the year that ChatGPT made a
Right.
splash, right? Before that, we had AI, but it was in other forms, anything from the internet, the way you search, right, to
There are bots
Google,
and algorithms, but
everything, right? Social
right.
media. So we're all
Mhm.
familiar with that. So kind of like maybe taking 2022 on, where we really had this new idea, new version of AI that we know of now. Let's Take them through some of the biggest milestones that you think were placed and why were those milestones important? Things happening, but is it important? Is it relevant to us? So maybe let's kind of go through some of those milestones that you think are monumental.
Yeah, and since most of our audience are businesses, I'm going to speak mostly from the business to business side, the B2B side. Obviously, it's going to be the big impact is going to be on the consumer side. But, starting out, it was generative AI. That's when we can go out and have AI gather all this information and then generate, whether it's textual information, video information, and even audio. So it's multimodal. And that really changed the game for particularly the marketing people, the marketing and sales arena, and they were able to generate a lot, not only content but personalized content, so they can make very unique messages, create very unique message to their audience. And that really took a couple of years for it to take off. Partly it was just ChatGPT at the beginning, OpenAI, and then it obviously exploded into with Perplexity, Claude, and now Gemini has joined in with Google. So now everybody in Meta has Llama. So everybody is jumping into the game, even though there's a lot of other AIs around the world. So now it's become ubiquitous. So now that everybody can generate content both for work purposes, but even just for casual consumer purposes, it's now going from, I'll stick to the business side, going from the top of the funnel, generative AI, where you're trying to generate content to attract an audience, to agentic AI. So agentic AI really took off in 2025. And that's when now the AI is moving from the back office to the front office. And I say the front office is moving to the consumer's interface. And so now with agentic AI, the AI is not just introducing you to a website or to a brand or to a seller. It's actually helping you through that entire shopping process, from discovery to finding the products to comparing the products to ultimately even purchasing and transacting the products online.
Now, before we get much further, I want to make sure that our listeners stay with us. There's a lot of slang that is being thrown around when it comes to AI. So, agentic. So, first of all, in case you are not familiar with agentic AI, again, 2025 was dubbed the year of agentic AI. So, John, can you explain to us what is agentic AI? What does that mean?
I'll try to speak in the way we relate to it. A lot of times in a complex purchase, particularly between a buyer and a seller, because it's so complex and arduous and requires a lot of expertise, we have agents work on behalf of us. In the old days, you travel agents. If you need somebody to represent you in negotiations, it could be a sports agent, a talent agency. And then in buying a home, you need a real estate agent. So that agent is that intermediary that facilitates that transaction between the buyer and the seller. Ideally, you want to have a direct relationship between the buyer and the seller to reduce cost and time. But what's going to happen with agentic AI is, instead of another human that has to be in a contractual relationship and you have to work with a lot, the AI is actually working on behalf of you as your surrogate shopper. The more agency that you give it, the more discretion and capabilities, almost in the sense of a power of attorney, to act on your behalf. Now, it could be at a very simple level, like just scheduling a tour or maybe filling out forms, things like that. But long term, it may be able to help you be the first one to purchase or to quickly arrange the entire travel itinerary and go ahead and make those bookings and reservations. So that could be a great time saver. Eventually, as well, the AI can actually work across many other apps. So instead of you going to your Uber app, your Instacart app, your Zillow app, and everything, you just make that command. Right now, we're just learning how to prompt. I was like, hey, generate something. Well, now you're going to command it to execute something. And so instead of you having to log in and remembering your passwords and going through all the clicking and everything, you just say what you want and it executes that for you.
Yep. And we're starting to see that in action with shopping, right? Many of you probably use ChatGPT not just to look up fancy recipes or give you directions or whatever else, but you're probably using this for shopping as well.
Mhm.
So if you're curious, you can of course plug in information like, hey, I'm looking for new construction in my area. This is what I'm looking for in ChatGPT and see what it does. But now we're also starting to see many browsers that have AI built into it, where what's interesting is when you can see how those browsers work, they actually tell you what's happening every step of the way as they're looking up that information. For example, Atlas, right? Atlas is the one by ChatGPT. Is that the one by
Yeah,
ChatGPT?
GPT,
Yes.
OpenAI. Yes.
Yeah, Atlas. And I think there's several others that came out recently. So, John, can you talk to us a little bit about these browsers, what's important about them, and what shift is this signaling to us?
Okay, in parallel to the evolution of the bots, so you referenced, this has actually been going on for a long time, but the bots were built primarily around algorithms, really didn't have any intelligence. And now that we've given it artificial intelligence, it has the mind, but it never had the hands to actually achieve anything. So it gave you great tips, but it couldn't actually go through that process. So what we also seen is this evolution of the interface. The initial interface obviously was the search engine, right? Where you put in a few keywords and it generated a lot of websites for you to now explore on your own. But now you're seeing, like you're saying, that evolution, that search engine into a conversation channel. So instead of just putting in 5 keywords, it actually gives you 10 words back. And the minute you respond and it responds back, you've actually now have converted from a traditional searcher to now a conversation with AI. And now with that evolution, of search engines is now migrating to AI browsers. And AI browsers, like you may use Firefox, Safari, Chrome, but what's happening is now those browsers have become intelligent. And with those browsers, one of the big differences is now you have this AI assistant that you can click on and it pops up as a side panel adjoined to whatever website that you're looking at. So now you have a guide along your entire website journey, whatever websites, and nothing that the websites did, it's actually been appended on it because it's a browser that's appended to that. Now, that as AI assistant, the difference between that and an AI agent, the AI assistant is guiding you as you're doing the shopping, as you're clicking on the buttons and scrolling and filtering and doing all those things. Now, when it becomes an AI agent, like you alluded to with Operator, which is a ChatGPT product using their Atlas browser, and then Facebook just acquired Manus, which was a Chinese company, but now it's exclusively outside of China. Now it's a Singaporean company that's acquired by Meta. So now what happens is that AI is now doing the navigation of the website, maybe even doing navigation of social media. Maybe you don't want to scroll through all these social media things and maybe let the AI go through there and find the things that of really particular interest to you. And all of that capability will dovetail into AI applications. So the next evolution from AI browsers is AI apps. So ChatGPT or OpenAI has just opened up their AI app store. So it's akin to traditional Apple or Google app stores, but now they're all intelligent. So all those apps I was referring to earlier with Uber, Instacart, and all that, now they will all become intelligent. Because if they were just dumb, they would require you to manually go in there and log in and say, oh, I don't know what pizza toppings you like. You go in here to, well, now when you've already ordered things from Instacart and you've visited Italy and it knows all those things in context. So now the AI is intelligent as it's working across this app network. And so what will happen is the sellers, the vendors will have to now create their products and format it into a data structure and data tags so that those AI apps can be able to pull their data in there, synthesize it in the context. Hey, along with that wonderful Italian pizza, we pair that with a wonderful red wine from this vineyard. And it's able to now put all that together on behalf of the buyer. So now it's not, it could be just a buyer's assistant giving you the sommelier tips or advice, or it could go all the way to ordering that wine for you as an agent.
Mhm. So, what strikes me is that sounds like we have a whole new channel that's been emerging, and that's this conversational channel.
Hmm.
Right? So let's talk a little bit about what that means for home building. How do we keep track of this conversational channel? Do we need a separate CRM system for this channel? Like, give us a little glimpse as to what's coming and how do we even operate this new conversational channel so that people can start wrapping their brain around what's coming next.
Well, the paradox is to become more human, we actually need more AI because AI has now allowed us to go from speaking like bots in 5 keywords to actually having a natural conversation, even your own natural native tongue, your language. And even in a way that we as humans communicate, which is visually and through voice and through text. So it's appealing to all our senses. AI doesn't need all those senses. It only speaks in ones and zeros, but it's actually making it more appealing to humans. And the way humans really communicate at both a large audience level and individual personal level is through conversations, right? So it's natural for us to come back to our roots and not cave paintings, but to actually have a natural conversation. Now, the problem is all the channels that we've done for marketing historically, as we went from the real world to the virtual world, is we left out the conversation piece. So now we're bringing that back in and we can speak naturally. You could speak in Russian and I could speak in Chinese, and we could still communicate with each other because AI could translate that. Not only translates it, it transcribes it. So if you, as a seller, want to know what's really going on, you don't get lost in translation. You see it all in English.
That's
What a
crazy
wonderful
because
world.
this
Smaller world.
if you have this information, think about as a builder, if you have information on what your ideal buyer is actually saying, what
Mhm.
are they asking when they're searching for your home? What kind of question are they asking? What objections they're throwing out there? That is so valuable, and we've never had full-on conversations unless they came to your model home, right? They
Yeah,
come to
until they
your
actually
model
talk
home.
to a human. So we will ultimately get you a human, but we don't necessarily need a human to get you to a human. And I add another thing to the AI in that not only does it transcribe that conversation, but it actually records it because as much as it can actually have a voice conversation, it also records an audio clip of it. So in some of the conversations that I've had and I've listened to using our AI assistant, I've learned that the intonation is just as important as the transcription. And what I mean by that is if you see it transcribed, do you have any quick move-in homes available? Okay, that's all right. That's good. She's interested. Now, if Anya says, do you have any quick move-in homes available? That intonation shows a lot more about your intent, your passion, your propensity. Or if you say, really, do is if you say something negative in a frustrating way, I don't want to be an actor here, but
Mhm.
being able to pick that up and to be able to assess, hey, we really have a problem with our warranties. The person is frustrated. Are we, they love us. This is the person we want on a social media post because we can tell from the way their voice is
Mhm.
how they feel about us.
Mhm. So it's interesting because and I don't know if historically software leads hardware or the hardware really leads software because now we're in a position where we need CRMs and we need systems that are able to capture those full conversations. And as far as I'm aware, we don't really have anything like that yet.
No, this is why AI is moving so quickly. And when you say hardware and software, they do work like the pedals on a bicycle. Once one pushes forward, to go for it again, the other side has to push it. And as the software becomes better and better, you need better and better hardware. That's why they have to invest more into the GPUs, the CPUs to translate faster, to store more, to have more memory, to have quicker conversations, and to expand into a collaborative process. And we're just starting the conversation. The conversation in buying a new home is not just one-on-one, it's one to many or many to one, depends which side you're coming from, because there's so many people on both sides of that equation. On the seller side, you could go all the way to your salespeople, your production people, your warranty people, and on the buyer side, obviously, your family and anybody else that's part of the shopping process. So to be able to bring all that into one conversation and have all their voices represented, I think is going to be very important. So that gets back to your CRM piece. The traditional CRM of, hey, one, I need your name and number, and you have to contact me when I'm available as a seller. And I can only speak to you one at a time. And what was your name again? What did you want? Because I didn't get to see what you're doing. That is so far down in the funnel or the customer journey. And what you may not realize as a seller is you actually had 100 people that will want to talk to you, but only 10 got the guts and had the time and even one had the propensity to even want to talk to you. So you may have already lost 90% of your potential audience because you didn't have that conversation with them. Now, how are you going to say, well, how could I have a conversation with them? I don't even know who they are. That's the beautiful thing about AI. People are having conversations with their AI agent about your product, about your store, about your social media creds
Mhm.
before you even join that conversation. So what you need as a seller is somebody that can speak privately, anonymously as somebody's walking to your store. When I go into Home Depot, they don't ask for my driver's license before they talk to me. That would be stupid of them, and that would be offensive to me. When I want to go in there and I have a need or a want, first of all, there's someone in the store. If you don't even have sales, I don't care whether it's human or AI, manning your store is like a museum. Walk along, find if you, maybe you'll find something, maybe you won't. I mean, they had to go through haystacks of websites that they had to click on, and you had a paragraph, and this in the SEO days. Oh, we're a great website. We love customer service. We want to give you the best customer experience. We have so many opportunities and options for your lifestyle. And then when you come there, it's like, where's everyone? Oh, we don't even have a search engine here. There's nobody to talk to you. So that is such a terrible experience. They had to go through these haystacks, and to find the needle in the haystack when they get to your stuff, it's another on your own journey.
Mhm. And of course, that is the reason why we decided to introduce Anewgo AI assistants into the equation because, like we mentioned, these smart browsers now are having conversations, but the trouble is they're not your smart browser, right? They're just ChatGPT smart browser. So the conversation that's going to be happening in there is not seller agnostic, right? Like
Right.
meaning that it's going to tell you all about Home Depot. It's also going to tell you about the Lowe's, right? So what we introduced is AI assistants that go on your website. So when the buyer comes there, they can continue this conversational journey. But like you said, to your point, it's somebody who is staffing your store, your virtual store, and they're trained in your language. They're trained how to sell them, what to say, how to say it, so that they can show off your goods and services while you're sleeping. So, do you want to talk a little bit about AI
Yeah,
assistants,
sure.
where
So
we
we're
are
already
now with
seeing
it?
we're already seeing the buyer's assistant at play already. If you use Amazon, I don't know, have you ever used Amazon? Okay. So okay, so there's this
The
thing called
rock profits,
Amazon, and a year
right?
ago they introduced their AI assistant Rufus. So Rufus sits over there on the side. So if you have a question about, hey, what kind of hiking boots do I need to go climb the Himalayas? It may ask you about what kind of needs, requirements, and all that kind of stuff. And so it's your AI assistant. Now, it's not an agent in there. It's not handling the transaction for you. I really don't want to give my pocketbook and my credit card right over to Amazon to buy everything for me, but it's your guide. Okay. And then you're seeing that even with Google partnering with House Canary in our industry, where in some test markets, you can use Google to now find listings of available homes, primarily in existing home space. So you're starting to see this merger between the content creators or providers and Gemini search. It's not through Google because it's not saying go to House Canary. It's bringing House Canary's listings into a Gemini conversation about not just your house, but your lifestyle needs and everything that relates to the purchase of a home. OpenAI, which is ChatGPT, has also connected that data with Zillow. So Zillow and actually HubSpot, we're talking about CRMs, they're one of the first couple of companies to actually connect to OpenAI by feeding that data through their Connect API, application program interface. And there's also even a rumor that OpenAI is looking to acquire Pinterest because Pinterest has a huge audience, has a lot of products, a lot of data, a lot of visuals, a lot of promotional stuff in there. And to be able to add a conversational element about that dress and about that lifestyle, that could be big. Don't buy the stock yet, but that's the rumor. Now, what's happening as we alluded to earlier, the next phase of that from being just a shopping assistant is now being that shopping agent. And so OpenAI has actually not only trying to create an assistant through like with Zillow guiding you along, but also using their browser with Operator. You can say, hey, look for this, and you will see the AI actually clicking on those things. What happens is if you haven't tried it on Atlas, you'll see your screen to kind of turn into like a Wizard of Oz with like sparkles everywhere, magic wands kind of moving around. So basically the AI is working its magic as it's navigating through the builder's website. It's actually probably a good experience for you as a seller to actually have Operator or ChatGPT go through there and shop your website, because you'll see this is what, instead of you recording what a human is doing, you'll see how AI is shopping, and the AI is even smarter than human. And if the AI is struggling, that means your site is not structured well for AI, much less you and I. And because it's also, when I say you and I, even though it's looking at data, it's also clicking on buttons and scrolling on things just like a human would. So in a sense, it is taking on human visual, because it has computer vision, human visual acuity. And then, like I said, with Meta just acquired Manus, which is trying to do the same thing. So we're starting to see AI go down this entire customer journey and streamline the process. And if you want to see what's going on, you will need that CRM. Maybe that's why they're connecting with HubSpot. But the other part of it, like you're saying, is if you only let the AI buyer's assistant, buyer's agent do the shopping, it may come to your website and says, hey, yeah, they have some good homes over here. It looks like they have a nice pool. But if you go across the street, so much better and so much better price, and let me shop for you, because it's acting like a buyer's real estate agent. So what you need to do is when they come down to your site, your AI structure has got you into the conversation, but it hasn't curated the lead. They brought the AI buyer's assistant, says, hey, this builder, this community matches everything that you ever dreamed of. Now when it gets there, your sales assistant, just like you would have a sales assistant in your model home, needs to confirm, curate, facilitate, educate everything that it's brought you there to expect.
And I think from consumer perspective, now that we're comfortable and we're used to this sort of shopping, right? Like I just tell you what I'm looking for. I don't necessarily need to browse myself. So they're going to be primed for that experience when they land on your website, that they don't necessarily want to go and click on the menus and this and that. They just want to continue that conversation by asking, do you have this kind of a floor plan, or these are my needs? What kind of floor plan would work for me? And you bring it to me instead of me going out there searching for it. And so that's exactly what our AI assistant does. And if you guys haven't had a chance to check it out, we already have it on a few builder websites. And we are working with some testers now. So if you have an Anewgo website already and you want to be one of the first to try it out, let us know. Send an email to beth@anewgo.com and she'll be able to set you up with that. You can be one of our early testers. But, John, what are your expectations with this AI assistant now and into next year? So, right now, it's able to have pretty amazing conversations, right? I mean, I was blown away by its ability to, again, just like you're used to with ChatGPT, carry out a conversation. You can do open-ended conversation. It's going to surface those things for you. So again, as it matches the floor plan, it will give you the link. So you can click on the link, open it up right there. You can start designing your new home, making it a much better, easier customer experience. But what do you see for the next year, maybe with AI assistants? Where do you see them going?
Well, at least for us right now, what I first started to try to do is enrich that customer journey. When I say enrich it, I mean, I want it to be engaging. I still want to utilize all the interactive elements. I want it to be personalized. But part of that enrichment is to reduce the friction, have it your way, the way you want to navigate. And so the way we've created it is the AI, when you come in there, you can have an open-ended question, because you may just have something that's top of mind. You don't want to go through decision tree questions. You have to have that question answered. So you can ask the open-ended question. If you are new to the whole process, you may want to have a button by button navigation way, so you can go through that way. Some people just don't want to type, they just want to talk, and they're on their mobile device or they're driving, and you can have a voice conversation. You also want to have it, in a frictionless way with your own language, in the way you want to communicate. If you want to see, in addition to your language, if you want to see that product, because the picture's worth 1,000 words, you can only describe that house so many ways, and whatever. It's an usher in the sense that it can bring the product into the conversation visually, and it can also bring you to that aisle or to that page that describes more of it or allows you to design it. The other thing is we've also given AI more human qualities. So not only can it hear you, it can relate to you. It can probably even sense your frustrations. And so it knows when you're upset, it can calm you down, or it can rationalize things, but it also has computer vision. So instead of having to go through all these floor plans with all these options and zoom in and zoom out and go to second floor and where's the home that's on the cul-de-sac or next to the lake, it can visually see all that. So imagine if you had these superpowers that you can see hundreds of floor plans, visually read them, and then get summaries of not only do I want a primary bedroom on the first floor, but I want the ones in the back of the house, not in the front of the house. Well, it can look through those things and say, oh, I found one that has it in the back of the house. So those are kind of things that's not even possible right now without each individual going to learn how to read all those floor plans and taking all that time. So what I see what's going to actually happen is there's going to be two different levels of the AI shopping for you. One is I'm going to call it walk away shopping. And when I mean walk away shopping is you just tell your AI agent, this is what I'm looking for. This is my lifestyles, my needs, my wants, my constraints. I just got divorced, or I need to have a good school system, or whatever. I don't want to talk to anybody. I don't want to go to every builder's website. I'm going to set it and forget it. And then when I walk away tomorrow or 30 minutes later, depends how far it's searching, it now just finds what matches me, matches and notifies me. And so I'm not sitting there watching every click on the button as operator is doing. It just goes out and does that. It's like you don't need to do show and tell, just tell. And then the second part is for the ones that do match and really appeal to me in a conversational way, because it's going to maybe present to me by 8 o'clock tomorrow morning while I'm having breakfast. Hey, here are 10 matches. Which one of these appeal to you? Now I'm having a conversation with a curated results and it's learning from me. It's like, oh, I didn't really realize you didn't like farmhouses. Okay, I'll keep that out of the conversation. So now the ones that appeal to me, I will sit and stay. And that's when I will go to your website and I will sit and stay and I will shop. And maybe I'll still have the AI assistant there still as a guide, but I'm not just going to let the AI buy my dream home or much less sign $1 million check. And I think that's how it's going to hand off because let the AI do not just the legwork, but the finger work. And then when I want to put my fingers on it, I'll jump back into the driver's seat and it gets better and better over time. And the beautiful thing about that also is there's no more FOMO. There's no fear of missing out on the new home that just popped up or the price drop that went on or the new incentive that came out or whatever. So
Mhm.
take away the pain, get all the gain.
I love that. So, what I think about when you were talking is it makes me think that there's going to be a lot bigger pool of new construction buyers because that's always been our trouble, right? Is that you
The way you had to get the
can.
pool, you had to pull. You
Yeah,
had to
exactly.
pull
So you
them
have this,
in.
we know historically it's been, 10 to 20% of
Right.
people who buy new construction. We know that most people are actually interested in new construction, but with SEO, Google search, needle in a haystack, most people can't find that dream home. So now with AI eliminating that, as long as you can talk, it doesn't matter if you speak Russian or Chinese or English, you're going to be able to be matched to that dream home of yours and notified so there's no more FOMO, which think about how many more people would be glad to find that home and now they see it. So you'll have hopefully a lot bigger pool of buyers for your properties. That's what it makes me think. But it's very important that you do optimize your website and your content in order to be found, right? So I think 2025, hopefully you guys have had the time to learn a little bit about this new shift from SEO to AIO and how you need to optimize your website and what you need to do on your website in order to be found because that's going to be probably the biggest challenge, right? Is the because
It's the appeal to the AI's eyes because
right.
one, when you're relying on manual intervention and manual effort, I mean, one, I don't even like shopping in the first place. Two, I don't have the time to do all the shopping. And so I would even garner, and of course we can't prove this yet because we don't have AI everywhere. I bet a lot of people are not buying from you, not because they don't necessarily like or dislike what you have. It's just like ships passing in the night. You
Mhm.
didn't see each other. So when you offer something they want, they weren't there to find it. And wow, that's like not going to the bar at the right night that your dream spouse is going to show up. And so you
Right.
just missed each other.
Yeah. Yeah. So hopefully this will open your audience to a much bigger audience, which means bigger opportunity to optimize your offering and hopefully have higher returns. So I think on that front, it's all positive. But that does mean that we need to start shifting our marketing and our marketing mind and dollars away from SEO, the old school, to now how do we optimize for AIO. So that's one thing I definitely want to leave you with, guys. But now going forward, you said the word of 2026 is going to be commerce. So let's spend next few minutes talking about what do you think needs to happen, or what do you expect is going to be happening with AI over the next year that we actually do get to now transacting?
Most of the AI that we've been doing is very singular and very isolated to a particular person's needs or particular use case. If you want to get to commerce, we have to move down the entire customer journey. And the way that customer journey is, it actually may encompass a variety of agents. With SEO, we had Google that dominated the market. You know, you start off with a Google search and they own everything. With now everybody having their own favorite AI platform, so you don't miss out on the audience, that all those AIs need to all hear the same message and they all need to be in sync so nobody's missing out. So what has happened is the major AIs have agreed to, they call it MCP, Model Context Protocol. So when you speak to Claude, OpenAI understands and Gemini understands. So, you know, when you make a APB, all points bulletin, that I need this, all of them are working on behalf of you. And I've actually tested that out because one of the things when we create our AI assistant, it's not just having AI as a technology, but you need to train your AI. And so we created, I call it a 4A university, but it's actually spelled FOUR AI.ai, 4 AIs. And so what happens is people don't realize this, but all these AIs are not the same. You know, some are better at creating visuals, some are great at talking, some are great at deep thought, some are great at searching and pulling out current information, some are great at conversation, some are great with a certain style. So I use the 4 major AIs. I use ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, and Gemini. And so what happens is they all work in concert under one voice that speaks to that consumer. And so they are, in a sense, using this shared connection and brain. So what that concept of an individual AI assistant utilizing 4 different AIs to get the message across will probably be expanded at a marketplace level so that when whoever you're shopping with will be able to shop that entire store. And now to make it a customer journey, you have to be able to take that data and make it horizontally integrated, like I'm talking about, regardless of which AI and which channel, they are all speaking the same language. Okay, so it needs to be horizontally integrated, but it also needs to be vertically integrated because the vertical integration, each customer is going to shop for their own product, their own way, their own time, with their own restraints and requirements. And so that vertical integration is going to require the seller. That's why OpenAI can't do this without Pinterest, or Google can't do this without House Canary. So what we want to do with the new home industry is be able to allow that vertical integration. So all your products, your warranties, and the other thing that we go beyond what AI can do is AI only scrapes your website. Obviously, there's a lot of other information beyond your website, like your warranties, your incentive programs, and all that stuff that doesn't need to be all over your website, but it needs to be able to be retrieved. It could be videos, it could be images. So be able to vertically integrate that, but you need someone that's going to data structure that, data take that, create it multimodally, and have it available in real time, bi-directionally in that conversation for the AI to synthesize. So you will need someone here that represents the sellers to be able to put that AI content in a usable format. And I know this is very complex, so I'm going to try putting it in a way that maybe other people can understand. Hopefully, all of us have taken biology classes. But the way to do this is all this data, that's the lifeblood of e-commerce. Data is like DNA. It defines who that person is or what that animal is or plant. But what happens is with vertical and horizontal integration, you're going to create data chains, just like DNA is actually a chain of different proteins or amino acid chains. That chain is unique to each buyer's shopping behavior. So what's going to happen is we have to connect all those chains. And then when you initiate, it's like, I'm calling it a chain reaction. All these bits of data are connected together. And depending on what your desire is as a customer, it's going to cause a different chain of reaction for the AIs to give you the results. So the next stage is not just to put all this data out there, but it needs to be connected.
Mhm.
And that's something that we are building. And actually OpenAI is also building an AI app store for developers to build into that data
Mhm.
chain.
So you remember how a few years back we kept preaching digitizing your sales process, digitizing your sales process. Digitizing your sales process was a whole point was for AI, right? Because one of the problems with AI is when you do only part of your sales process online visible to AI and everything else, like say you take them off for the end part because it's in person, and then you do it on a piece of paper and it goes in a drawer, AI cannot connect that customer experience, customer journey, right? So digitizing your customer experience again from start to finish, so AI can make those connections that person who came in and looked at the greenhouse first, in fact, is the buyer, not the one that looked at the red house, right? It can make all those connections over time, learn if this, then that, right? And it can give recommendations on all those things. So again, goes back to bringing everything online. Again, online does not mean not in person, but just digitizing that end to end so that.
Yeah, and the way you're describing it as connections, I mean, those are kind of like the links in the chain that I'm describing. The buyer sees one bit of information, be the product, but how they react to that is now, and this goes to blockchain if you guys really want to get into techie, but how they interact with that creates another link in another chain. And everybody's going to have a different DNA at the end of all that. And AI is probably the only technology or AI platform that can read those chain reactions.
Mhm.
And then based on all those chain reactions at a macro level, we say, oh, well, people that like this will probably like that. And people that don't like that will probably not like that. So now you're going to help the buyer achieve their goals much quicker and efficiently than any human can do. So they're being curated. And what's going to happen at the bottom of this customer journey, because I'll say at the top, the big LLMs, large language models, are all working in concert. But at the bottom, like particularly if you're buying a new house, you're not just buying the house. You need to buy insurance. You need to buy mortgage. You need to buy utilities. What happens is now at the bottom, the AI agent that got you to buy the house will also be the one that connects you with the AI agents from these other industries, insurance, mortgages, and whatever, so that you can shop for the best thing that matches your specific needs for your loan amount and your house to now facilitate that transaction.
Mhm. And this may seem a little far-fetched right now, but you guys think about this. We're talking from 2022, where we've come so far in the last 3 years. So I think these are actually pretty conservative estimates, I think, right? Like everything we've talked about is happening now. So, John, before we wrap up, is there anything particular you want to leave our listeners with? If I'm a home builder listening to this, like maybe what are my priorities for 2026? How do I get my house in order to get ready for this?
Well, you surely really should have been doing this in 2023 or four, but I think you almost need to go back and look at your data structure. And your data structure is probably the way it's structured for your websites. Your websites need to be AI enabled, if not AI native. And I know that's a whole, maybe we'll say that for next session what the difference is. But to be AI enabled is so that the AI can quickly find what it's looking for, not just in your place, but in comparison to your competitors, because it's not just shopping you, it's shopping everyone like you. So if your house only talks to a certain audience and it doesn't talk to all the potential buyers that you want, then you may be cutting yourself out of the conversation purely because you didn't raise your hand. So those traditional, very generic marketing presentations, very generic and static, that you saying, "Hey, I want to appeal to everyone." You actually are not going to appeal to anyone, because what's going to happen with AI, it's much discerning. It's not looking at, "Hey, you qualify as the top 100 websites because you mentioned this." No, I need to have the top three or four, and I and paid by the buyer because they paid a subscription and they're utilizing me over Gemini. And if I don't do a good job, they're going to switch. They're going to work on behalf of the buyer. They're not going to work on whoever pays me the most to put at the top of a ranking that nobody's clicking on anymore.
Mhm.
It's a totally different game. It's a buyer-centric, customer-driven, personalized, privatized. The other advantage of having your own AI sales assistant too, not only do you get to sell your message, but you get to keep the data. If if you're only going to let the buyer's agent and the browser dictate that, as a seller, you may be selling things or not selling things, and you won't know the difference of when, where, why, and how, and who you lost.
Exactly. So, two things, right? So, how are you being found? Make sure you are being found. And then once they find you, what kind of experience is it? And where is this interaction being captured? So, that's very important that that data stays with you, your data, and you're able to use that data in the future as we build towards that next chapter, the commerce.
Yes.
All right, well, that wraps up this month's AI Brief Home Building Edition. If there's one takeaway, it's this: AI isn't coming for home building, it's already here, quietly shaping how buyers discover, evaluate, and choose their next home. Our goal with this segment is simple: help you stay informed, stay grounded, and stay ahead without chasing every headline. If you found this helpful, make sure you subscribe to the Anewgo of New Home Sales podcast so you don't miss next month's update. And as always, we'll keep sharing what we're seeing, what we're learning, and where we believe the industry is headed. So thanks for listening, and we'll see you next month.
Bye,
Bye
guys.
for now.